Welcome into the Commanders Report live show. I am your host, Jack Sperry. We'll be joined here by producer Joey Peterson here in just a second. But today, we've got a bunch of great Commanders content coming your way over the next hour or so, getting you guys ready for week one of the NFL season, where the Washington Commanders will have their season opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn will be both making their debuts in the burgundy and gold this weekend. Very exciting season about to kick off here on the Washington Commanders Report, so make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and join the almost 20,000 strong that have already clicked that subscribe button. Okay, on today's show, guys, we're going to get into the latest Commanders news. Sam Cosmi, the starting right guard, signed a very nice extension today. I'm going to tell you why I love this deal for the Washington Commanders. Then we'll get into some players. Joey Peterson has come together with 10 players on this roster. I'm going to tell you whether they're going to exceed expectations, whether they're going to meet expectations, or whether they're going to fall short of expectations for the 2024 season. And then, of course, as every week, we have the live Commanders mailbag. So if you guys want to get a question on the show later today, you guys can use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get on the show. I will say the only way you can guarantee your question gets on the show is if you Super Chat. However, if you want a chance to get your question on the show for free, all you guys got to do is get down there in the comment section and give me a hashtag Commanders and then a question after that. So, for example, you go down there in the live chat, you put hashtag Commanders. How many wins will the Washington Commanders have this year? And then I'll answer that question on the mailbag. So whichever way you guys want to get your question on the show, it's fine by me. Now let's bring in our producer, Joey Peterson. Joey, you're going to be doing the watch party this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun here. It's going to be afternoon game, right? So it's going to be, is it 3:30 or 4:30 or 4 o'clock kick Eastern time?
It's a 3:25. Oh, yeah. 4:25 Eastern.
4:25 Eastern is when they're going to be kicking off in Tampa Bay. Jaden Daniels' Commanders debut, NFL debut. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. So Joey, appreciate you producing today's show, my man. And I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun on a Sunday.
Hey, guys, Jack's leaving us. You know what that means? Just like when the parents go out of town. We're going to have a lot of fun. Y'all come join me.
It's going to be a party.
We'll be live 3:20 Eastern for the 4:20 Eastern game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tune in for analysis, play-by-play,
post-game coverage, pre-game coverage.
Post-game, pre-game, anything you can want, I'll give it to you. We're going to have a blast.
Whoa, pause, Joey Peterson. That's maybe not anything. This is YouTube here. We don't want to get struck down. But anyway, man, we got a bunch of great Commanders content coming your way on today's show. But before we get into that content, let's have a word from our sponsors here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game, live is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch, whether it's college or pro. There's nothing that quite beating going to the stadium and enjoying that environment of watching a football game live, especially for your favorite team. So Game Time Picks is a brand new feature on the Game Time app, and what it does is that it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you got to do on the Game Time app is go to a game, whatever game you guys want to go see, whatever the case may be. This is the ticket breakdown here for the Giants and Commanders game, first game at Commanders Stadium this year. And all you got to do is pick the GT Picks button. It's right down up there at the top of your screen, and it automatically filters through every single ticket on their app with using their special algorithm to show you only the best seats at the best price on their app. So it's absolutely fantastic. And it's another one of their features here that makes this the only ticketing app that you need on your phone. Some other great features included on the Game Time app is that you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. And it's not just sports, guys. It's music, it's comedy, it's theater, it's everything. It's music festivals. If you get and buy tickets to something, guys, Game Time probably has it on their app. Also, you get all-in pricing, so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout. And then also flash deals. So if you're someone like me and you like to procrastinate and wait to the last minute to get your tickets, Game Time actually rewards you for that behavior by getting their prices even lower the closer you wait to the start of the event. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. So if you guys want to send in a donation to the show today, we greatly appreciate it, whether it's Super Chat, whether it's Venmo, whether it's Cashapp, whether it's PayPal. We do really appreciate anybody that sends money in to support the show. Every single dollar goes towards making free Commanders content for you guys right here on YouTube. So here's our menu today. Any Super Chat, and we'll give you guys a shout out. We'll give you guys love. We'll get your question on the mailbag if you have one. Also, $5, we got the F the Cowboys hat. Get your name on that F the Cowboys hat today with that $5 donation. $10, we got the shot glasses here, Joey Peterson. I think we're going to be drinking some mocktail tequila today, unless you've got something, you've actually got something hard today.
I got mocktail espresso martini.
Oh, you got a little bit of an espresso martini today. All right, you like it. Okay, man. And then also $20 super chats. Tortilla slaps. Joey's got the tortillas ready to go. If you want to see me get slapped, if you want to see Joey get slapped, all it takes is a $20 donation today to see somebody get slapped on the show today. And then $50 total on the show will put you into Hog Mafia for life. And if you guys don't know what Hog Mafia is, it is the Super Chat Club that we have here on the Commanders Report. It's essentially like having a blue check mark on your YouTube name here on the show. So here's what's going to happen. If you join Hog Mafia and you donate $50 on today's show, you're going to have a Hog Mafia donation sticker next to your Super Chats for life. And then you also get a shout out on every single Commanders Report live show. So here are the Hog Mafia members. Currently, we have 8 of them. Shout out to IQ Barbecue, Marco Gorman, Omar's Burner, Lord Buddy Bear, Luke O'Gorman, TJ, Commando Mike, and James Howard. Appreciate you guys. And, you know, even though you guys can send in super chats, we're not going to say no to people sending in super chats. I will say that YouTube actually takes 30% of every single dollar that you spend in super chats, and we only get to keep 70% of that money. If you guys want to send in a donation where we get to keep more of the money that you send in, you can send it via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Take a screenshot of your phone if you're watching us on mobile right now. Here is where you can find me on any of those financial platforms. So if you want to send in a donation and you want us to keep more of the proceeds, you can send one to @Jack-Sperry on Venmo, # Captain Jack 19 on Cash App, or @Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. It really does help out the show. It's free. It's easy. It takes a half second of your time, and it really does help out the channel. So if you are feeling generous today, I'd really appreciate it if you click that thumbs up icon. We got 45 people watching. I want to get to at least 20 likes on the show. And if you've liked the show today, Joey Peterson, make sure you guys go down there and type me. I'm going to give some shout outs here. Jasmine Gray is here. What's up, Jasmine? We got Gerald P. We got Eugene. We got JG. Who else we got in here? We got Donald Shelton. We got Kenneth Mister. We got Jaden Productions. Is Cassie in here? That's the question. Is my girlfriend Cassie in here? I know she was feeling a little bit tired today.
I saw her earlier.
Oh, there she is. Cassie's in here. Let's go. I know she was feeling a little bit tired today, so I'm glad that she's up. Then we got Eugene. Keep spamming those memes. We got Ebony Wright. If you guys want to shout out on the show, don't be shy. Get in the live chat right now. We got Donald Shelton. We just hit 20 likes here, Joey Peterson. So let's get into this first segment. Wrong one.
Wrong. Get out of here,
Get out of here, Jeremy Chuggs. Jeremy Chuggs, our Texans host and Raiders producer, just came in here screaming. So that definitely got me off my game a little bit here to start, guys. We got Jonathan Taylor in there. We got Richard Barker. Got Todd Estep. We got Eugene. Got Josh Rollman. It's great to see everybody in the chat. So without further ado, man, let's get into our first segment of today's show, the latest news and rumors surrounding your Washington Commanders. We've been advocating for it all offseason long, and finally, the Washington Commanders come to terms on an extension with right guard Sam Cosmi. I'm going to be breaking down the contract extension these two sides agreed upon and why it's a fantastic deal for the Washington Commanders here over the next 4 seasons. Then we'll get into a Week 1 depth chart released by new head coach Dan Quinn, which had some surprises on there, if I'm being honest with you guys. So make sure you stick around to see what those surprises were on the Week 1 depth chart for this week's matchup against the Buccaneers. And speaking of that matchup against Tampa Bay, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon to kick off today's show if you want the Washington Commanders to start this season 1-0 with a win over the Buccaneers. Okay, let's get into the program today, starting with the report from Adam Schefter earlier today saying the Commanders guard Sam Cosmi signed a 4-year, $74 million contract extension that includes $45 million guaranteed per source. So this is something that if you've been watching the show for a while, you know I've been advocating for a very long time. And honestly, I thought it was going to cost this team about $20 million per year to get done. That wasn't the case. They got this deal done at $18.5 million per year, which isn't even the top 5 among starting guards in the National Football League right now. Landon Dickerson, Chris Lindstrom, Quentin Nelson, Robert Hunt, and Quinn Meinerz are all guys that are currently making more, and actually quite a bit more than Sam Cosmi at this point. So I love that Sam took a little bit of a hometown discount here. You know, he's kind of believing in this football team, in Dan Quinn, in Adam Peters, in Jaden Daniels. He wants to be here in the nation's capital, and I love that he was able to get something that he thought was fair and appropriate, and I'm glad that the Commanders were able to get this guy, their best offensive lineman right now, bar none, at a nice discount here of $18.5 million per year, and by the time this contract expires, guys, he's not even going to be close to the top 10 of the highest paid guards in the National Football League. So I think this is an excellent deal for the team. I'm glad that Cosmi's happy with this new deal as well. And let's rock, baby. I cannot wait to see Sam Cosmi here being a pillar of this offensive line for many years to come. So give us a grade down there in the comments section. Grade this extension of right guard Sam Cosmi, $18.5 million per year. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. For me, I'm going to give this a very solid A. Then we can get here to the first regular season depth chart that head coach Dan Quinn has put out earlier this week. Now, this is technically unofficial, all right? So keep in mind that some changes could potentially be on their way due to injury designations, all these different things. Things could shift around, and we could see a different lineup on game day, but this should be a pretty good representation as to where the Commanders coaching staff sees this roster stacking up heading into the year. So obviously, Jaden Daniels, it's been out for a while that he is going to be the starting quarterback Week 1 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No surprises there. We get to the running back depth chart. No surprises again. B-Rob, followed by Austin Eckler, and then Jeremy McNichols did make the final roster as the RB3. But the first surprise of the day, at least for me, was that Luke McCaffrey was listed among the starters at the wide receiver 3 position alongside Terry McLaurin and Olamide Zaccheaus. And Noah Brown, the recently signed wide receiver, was left out. And De'Ami Brown, who had a really nice training camp in preseason, also left out on the initial starters list. And the fact that Luke McCaffrey is already up listed with the starters tells us that he is probably going to play a pretty key role in this offensive coaching staff headed by a new offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury really believes in this kid, and they expect him to really step up this year. And who knows, he might even end up being the number 2 wide receiver on this Commanders offense when it all said and done, especially after trading Jahan Dotson to the rival Philadelphia Eagles. Then we get to the tight ends here. Zach Ertz was listed as the number 1. A little bit of a flip here. John Bates is now listed as the number 2 over rookie Ben Sinnott. I think that probably indicates that Ben is going to be a little bit more of a slow burn here. And I think that, he's going to have to really earn the playing time that he gets this year, and that he's going to be more of a long-term play at this position, whereas Zach Ertz is more of the short-term play. And then John Bates, the reason why he's listed as the number 2 tight end is because he's more of a blocking tight end, and he's expected to get more playing time than Sinnott, at least right away. Then we get to the offensive line. Brandon Coleman still listed as the starting left tackle. He practiced fully today, so you can expect him to start week 1 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then no other changes to the offensive line. Allegretti at left guard, Badass at center. You got Sam Cosmi, the newly signed guard, at right guard, and then Andrew Wiley. Hopefully, he can hold up at right tackle this year. I guess we'll have to see. But it's going to be interesting to see here if Brandon Coleman is going to hold up at left tackle this year, because he is talented physically. He's got the physical tools that you look for in a starting left tackle. Dan Quinn has certainly raised the expectations for him with how much he's glowed about him and his performance in training camp this year. But he has dealt with a little bit of an injury here, and, he's missed some time. And, his tape at TCU last year was bad. I thought he was one of the worst, if not the worst, tackle at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama last year. So you guys know, if you've been watching the show, I have my reservations about Brandon Coleman, but the fact that they're willing to start him week 1 over Cornelius Lucas, who they did bring back in free agency, shows that they have some sort of confidence in this young man. So I'm definitely rooting for him. So up next here on the Commanders Report, the defensive depth chart for week 1 for your Washington Commanders. But before we get into that, let's have word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game live, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on TV. So take advantage of Game Time's brand new feature on their app called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's super easy to use. All you do is you go on the Game Time app, you find a game or an event you want to go to, you select the Game Time Picks filter, and it automatically puts it through an algorithm to show you only the best possible deals on the tickets available on their app. Also on the Game Time app, you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. So it's the only ticketing app that you need on your phone, because you're not going to find lower ticket prices anywhere else. Also, they have all-in pricing on their app, so you know exactly what you're going to pay before you get the checkout. I hate it when they slap fees on you at the last second. A lot of ticketing apps do that. Game Time does not. Something I really respect about them. And then also, they have flash deals right before the event. So if you're someone like me, you procrastinate, you wait to the last minute to get your tickets, that doesn't matter. In fact, Game Time rewards you for that behavior by driving down the prices even lower the closer to the event you get. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Get to the defensive line depth chart here, and Clelin Ferrell is, in fact, listed above Jamin Davis on the official Commanders depth chart here for week 1. It definitely seems like Clelin Ferrell is going to be brought in this year as more of a run defender. That's his kind of forte. He's not much in terms of a pass, much as a pass rusher. But something that's definitely telling here is that Jamin Davis, somebody that a lot of people, including myself, thought was going to be a starter on this defense this year, is actually listed as a backup. Now, I definitely think he's going to be a part of the rotation, but at the end of the day, right now, they do not feel like he has earned the opportunity to start on this defensive line. The fact that they're listing him as a defensive end and not a linebacker at this point is definitely telling. Then we get to the linebackers here. We got the two guys that are going to be kind of playing more in the middle, Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. And then you got the designated pass rush outside linebacker and Dante Fowler Jr. This is a 4-3 under defense, and in a 4-3 under, there is an outside linebacker that plays close to the line of scrimmage, pretty much as a designated pass rush specialist. That's going to be Dante Fowler Jr. for this team to start. But make no mistake, Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner, both excellent blitzers in their own right. Expect to see all of these starting linebackers get after the quarterback this year. So before we get into the secondary here for the Washington Commanders, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you're enjoying yourself today. You're going to love our content that we put out every single day here on the channel. It's 100% free. We get breaking news videos out to you guys every time the Commanders make a big move. We have weekly live shows on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern time, plus watch parties for every single Commanders game. And did I mention It's 100% free. And guess what, guys? We are growing like crazy. We are the fastest growing Commanders channel here on YouTube as I'm speaking today. We're getting very, very close to 20,000 subscribers here on the Commanders Report. So help us get there today by joining our family. Okay, now let's get to the safeties. Quan Martin and Jeremy Chinn will be your starting duo. Expect to see Derek Forrest with 2 R's, not 3 R's. A little spelling mistake there on our graphics. Our bad there. But Derek Forrest, I do think, will be a part of the rotation. And, it'll be interesting to see how much they use Percy Butler and Tyler Owens this year. I think they'll probably be more special teams players. / reserve type players. There we go. Producer Joey fixed that for us. Thank you, Joey. So we got Quan Martin, Jeremy Chinn. Have high expectations for both of those guys. Both of those players, I think, are perfect fits in this defense, and I think that's going to become one of the better safety duos in the league this season. Then the cornerback room here, Emmanuel Forbes is listed as the #1 corner, so I guess we're going to see what he's capable of here. The second-year corner out of Mississippi State. There's a lot of pressure on him this year after a really tough rookie campaign. He took some lumps in joint practices with teams like the New York Jets and in the preseason game against the Jets. Lots of expectations for that young man. I'm really hoping that he's going to be able to live up to them. And then after that, it's Benjamin St. Juste is the other person that is listed as a starter here. And then we got Mike Sainristil as the starting slot. Honestly, I think Sainristil is probably the best corner on this team right now. So how did Adam Peters do in terms of this roster this year? So now that we've gone through free agency and roster cuts and the draft and all these different things that this team has gone through this offseason, give me an overall grade for what Adam Peters was able to do. All right, you got Dan Quinn, a new head coach. You got Jaden Daniels, a brand new quarterback. I think you make some very intriguing moves with the roster this year. So before I give my grade here, give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. Then for me personally, guys, I'm going to go an A-, okay? I think that Adam Peters did a good job, specifically with the hires of the head coach and then going out and getting the right quarterback in Jaden Daniels. I think that combination is going to be the combination that brings Lombardi trophies back to the nation's capital here. I'm very excited about the future here in Washington. Was it perfect? No, not in my opinion. I think there's certain things you could have done better if you were Adam Peters, but that's why I talk about football for a living, and that's why he builds rosters for a living, right? So hopefully Adam Peters did a really good job this year. I guess only time will tell if this offseason ends up being the one that changed things forever. Okay, guys, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your support. I'll be back tomorrow with another Commanders video right here on YouTube, 100% free. So until next time, guys, raise some hail. All right, so we got the first segment out of the way here, Mr. Joey. Let's give some grades here. We got Corey Stewart giving it an A. I think that might be an A+. It's an A with an asterisk. We got Billy Everett Jr. giving it a B. We got King Hype No giving it an A. We got Ebony Wright giving it a B. Richard Barker giving it a B. Kenneth Mister giving it a B. John is giving it a B+. Todd's giving it a B. JG's giving it an A. Chris Gross is giving it an A. Eugene's giving it a B. What do you think, Joey? Out of everything that has happened this offseason, I gave it an A-. What do you think?
I think somewhere around that A-, B+ range. You said it really well. Like, you can't go perfect in an offseason. Like, that's unrealistic. And especially with a team that's coming off a 4-13 season, you got a lot to fix.
Yeah, a lot to fix.
He fixed a lot of the important parts. Yes, there's still work to be done, but you can't do much better than he did in this offseason, bringing in Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels, and everybody else.
Yeah, there were some things that I probably would have done differently, but, obviously different people are going to have differing opinions on how to manage a situation, especially when you had to address as much as you had to address this year, right? You had to get a new head coach. You had to get a new quarterback drafting #2 overall, right? You had to really fix the offensive line. You had, to get a bunch of different players in the secondary. You had to really fill a lot of holes this offseason. And, there's some moves I would have made differently personally if I were in charge of the team. But like I said, that's why I have the headset on and he is in the GM chair right now. So
what would you have done differently? Like, what are you thinking?
I would have made a harder push for Brandon Ayuk personally.
I would have as well.
I know that this is a rebuilding team and it's more than just one receiver is going to help this team get better. But like, if you're trying to get weapons for Jaden Daniels to develop with, there's literally no receiver in this league that I think is better for his development than getting his best friend, and Brandon Ayuk. They have incredible chemistry together. He is a top-notch route runner, probably a top 5 route runner in football, if not top 3, if not number 1. He is an incredible route runner. And I just think that bringing those two together would have been really nice, especially because it sounded like you could have gotten him for like a second and a third round pick. And maybe, it kind of sounded like they wanted Terry McLaurin. So I think that's why the talks kind of devolved. Also, I wasn't a huge fan of trading down with the Eagles, giving them Cooper DeJean in the second round.
Yeah.
Especially after they just got Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. Like, that the biggest issue on the Eagles roster is corner, and you're giving them another first-round caliber corner. I had a little bit of an issue with that. I feel like they should have drafted offensive tackle earlier. I have my qualms about Brandon Coleman, but, at the end of the day, I think what's really important is that you got to get the quarterback and you got to get the head coach right with these rebuilds. And I think that's exactly what they did. And because of that, there's a couple things I would have done differently this offseason, but the future's extremely bright here with this football team. And I do think that, this is going to be the regime. Dan Quinn at head coach, Jaden Daniels at quarterback, that's going to bring a Lombardi trophy back to the nation's capital. I believe that. It won't be this year, but it's going to be in the near future, in my opinion. I think Jaden Daniels will be a superstar quarterback. I think that Dan Quinn will establish himself as a top 10 head coach in this league. And if you have those two things going for you, I think that goes a long way to helping your team out.
Yeah, you'd rather miss on 3 and get the quarterback position right than miss on the quarterback position and get 3 other positions right. Like, you're going to go as far as your quarterback can take you.
Absolutely.
And we don't know if it's a hit yet. We think it is. But the fact that you think you did as good as you did in Jaden Daniels, the fact that we believe that they did very good with Jaden Daniels, I think that speaks volumes of how this offseason went for the Commanders.
Yeah, completely agree, man. Okay, so let's get into our next segment here. So this is going to be very interesting. Make sure you guys get your questions in if you haven't already. For those of you just watching us here, #Commanders, or you guys can super chat to get your question on the show. Mailbag is coming up after this segment, so time's running out. Make sure you get your question in there if you want to get on the show. But without further ado, let's talk about 10 Commanders players with relatively high expectations this year and whether I think they will exceed, meet, or fall short of those expectations. In the National Football League, it is all about managing expectations. So today, I got 10 Commanders players that I want to talk about here on the show, and I'm going to tell you whether I think those players are going to exceed, meet, or fall short of the expectations that Commanders fans in general are holding for that player. So before we get into this very interesting segment here on the Commanders Report, get us started down there in the comments section by letting me know who is a Commanders player that is going to exceed expectations this season. So this is somebody that has a certain level of expectation this year as far as how they're going to play. Who's a guy that's going to be even better than that? Let me know down there in the comments section. Can't wait to see some of the names you put down there in the comments. So let's start with the quarterback himself here, Maverick Jaden Daniels. And this is somebody that I do think has some level of expectation because he was last year's Heisman Trophy winner. He was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. And last year's number 2 overall pick, C.J. Stroud, was not only the Rookie of the Year, but he led his team to a playoff win. So I do think that the expectations are relatively high when it comes to Jaden Daniels. So, I think he's going to have some rookie mistakes, all these different things. But at the end of the day, I think he meets expectations. Now, if you're expecting him to be C.J. Stroud, I think he falls short of those expectations. But for me personally, my expectations is that he's going to really show some dynamic flashes on tape. I'm going to look for him to be extremely competitive, and I want to see a foundation of work in his rookie season that tells me, yeah, this guy's going to be a future superstar quarterback in the National Football League. I fully expect to see that from Jaden Daniels this year. Will it result in a Rookie of the Year trophy and a playoff berth and a playoff win like it did for C.J. Stroud last year? Maybe not, but I do think it'll be a very successful season for Jaden Daniels, and I can't wait to see it unfold this year. So fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. By the end of the season, Jaden Daniels will be a top blank quarterback in the NFL. Will he be top 15? Will he be top 10? Will he be top 5? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time But let me know where you think Jaden Daniels is going to end up by the end of the year. Then let's get to Scary Terry McLaurin here. And it seems like Commanders fans are really the only people that truly appreciate how good of a receiver this guy is, because let's face it, he hasn't had the best quarterback play surrounding him ever since he's entered the league. I haven't seen a wide receiver this good be cursed with this poor of quarterback play ever for as long as this guy has been playing. He deserves a great quarterback. I think Jaden Daniels is that quarterback to get it done. So I do think that the expectations for the Commanders fans are pretty high, and I think he meets those expectations this year. Easily over 1,000 yards. I think he's going to shatter the record of touchdown receptions that he's had over the course of his career. I think that, this is the year where the NFL at large and NFL fans all over the world, their eyes are going to be open to just how good of a player Terry McLaurin really is. So I really do think that Terry McLaurin has that breakout season he's been waiting for. Then we get to Emmanuel Forbes here, first round pick 2 seasons ago, 2022 draft. I wanted Christian Gonzalez at the time. I originally graded the Emmanuel Forbes draft pick a C-, and I got blasted for that. But after a really tumultuous rookie season, feels like, they should have drafted Christian Gonzalez. But, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You have Forbes on the roster. Is he going to be able to really meet expectations as a second-year, first-round corner and really live up to that? And personally, I don't. I wish that he will, okay? I really want this kid to succeed because he did spend such a high draft pick on him. But he's still really skinny. I know he said he put on weight, but he's still much, 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 much smaller than all these other bigger receivers that he's facing. He showed some real warts in coverage again in the training camp and in the preseason this year. Now, I'm hoping he goes out there and he plays good enough to solidify himself as the number 1 corner of this team. But if that's the expectation, and I do think that's the expectation this year of him being a second-year player off of a first-round pick, I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to play at that caliber this season. Now, coming up here on the Commanders Report, more players to discuss on this roster and whether they meet, exceed, or fall short of their expectations this year. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. And I absolutely love Prize Picks, man, because it's the most exciting and easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps on your phone, Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and then watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become a part of the Prize Picks community today. In the month of September, just 1 Caleb Williams passing yard per game gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every single week in September. That's right, only 1 passing yard from Caleb Williams gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September with our friends at Prize Picks. That means 4 weeks of free W's if you use Caleb Williams and their special promotion. Don't miss this deal on Prize Picks because it's going to be gone the moment September ends. Also, Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are super fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Let's take a look at my week 1 projection on Prize Picks. I'm going to take the more on Caleb Williams, just 1 passing yard. I'm taking that every time. Then I'm going to take the more on Tyreek Hill receiving yards. He's an absolute monster. I think he gets more than 100 receiving yards here in this one. Now I'm going to take the more on James Conner, the running back in Arizona. I think that the Cardinals have one of the most underrated offenses in the league, and I think James Conner is one of the more underrated running backs in football today. So give me the more on him as well. If you guys want to get on the fun right now, you can download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Another player I want to discuss here is Brandon Coleman, who is expected to be this team's starting left tackle this year and protect Jaden Daniels' blindside in his rookie campaign. Based on the film from last year, based on how he played in the Senior Bowl at Mobile this year, and the fact that he's been dealing with injuries and all these different things, I do think he falls short of some of the expectations that the team has for him this year. I'm hoping to see good things. I'm hoping that eventually he develops into that star left tackle, that franchise left tackle that this team is hoping that he can become. And by the way, he's got the physical profile to do it. He can move. He's big. He's got long arms. He can move people in the run game. I think that he's got the physical potential to do it. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to apply himself and actually get it done. Head coach Dan Quinn talks glowingly about this guy, so I'm really, really hoping I'm wrong on him. But right now, if I have to predict it, my honest opinion is I think he falls short of expectations. Then we get to another rookie, Mike Sainristil. And if you guys have watched the show, you know I love me some Mikey Sainristil. I think he's going to be a top 5 slot cornerback in the NFL from the word go. I think he exceeds expectations. And by the way, expectations for him are already high. All right, people know about this guy. People know that he was one of the best overall football players in the draft this year. Drops to the second round because he plays a lower value position. But man, I think that he's going to really be a menace. I think he's going to be able to blitz from the slot. I think he's going to be doing a great job sticking with guys in coverage. I'm super excited to see what Mikey Sainristil is going to be able to do in his rookie campaign. And honestly, I think he should be in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Then we get to Quan Martin, who is moving from kind of a slot defender, kind of an apex defender last year in the Ron Rivera system and Jack Del Rio system, and he's moving to free safety in this Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. scheme, and I do think he's going to thrive. I mean, all the reports out of camp is that this guy has been flying around doing a great job, and, because I think the expectations might be a little bit tempered on him because he didn't play all that great as a slot corner last year, I think once he makes that shift and people start seeing him make plays, he's going to open up a lot of eyes really quickly here, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to be able to do this season, and I think he's going to exceed expectations. Then we get to Bobby Wagner, the number 8 player on this list, and I think that Bobby is somebody that I'm really excited to see in the middle of this defense. But if we're being honest about Bobby Wagner, and yes, he was an All-Pro last year, he can't cover anybody in pass coverage anymore. He can't line up against tight ends one-on-one anymore. He's not he doesn't have that quick twitch he used to have in zone coverage. But what he does at a really high level still is that he's an excellent run defender and he's a great blitzer. So it's kind of gonna depend on how this defense and how Dan Quinn and how Joe Witt Jr. plan to use Bobby Wagner. Because if they try to put him in that same exact role that he was in the Seattle defense with the Legion of Boom, he's not going to be that same player anymore. So I'm hoping that Bobby is going to be able to exceed expectations this year or meet them. But honestly, I think he's actually going to fall short of expectations this year because I think people are expecting him to be that Bobby Wagner that he was in the Legion of Boom defense, and he's older. He's not quite as good in pass coverage as he used to be. Still think he's going to be a good player and a great leader for this locker room, but probably a little bit short of the expectations Commanders fans have for him. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already to help out the show. It really does help us out, guys. Just a sliver of your time, half a second to click that thumbs up icon, puts this video out in front of more Commanders fans. So if you want to help us grow, you want to help this channel reach more Commanders fans across the globe, do that right now. Click that thumbs up icon and help us out if you're feeling generous. Okay, now we get to player number 9 on this list, Frankie Louvu, another inside linebacker. And while I think Bobby Wagner will still be good, but probably lower than expectations this year, I think that this guy's going to be unbelievable. I think Frankie Louvu is going to be the best inside backer on this team. I think he might even lead the team in sacks. This guy is explosive as a blitzer. He's also pretty decent in coverage as well. Super athletic, perfect fit for this hyper-aggressive Dan Quinn style of defense. I think I said it the day that they signed him in free agency. I think this guy's a perfect fit. I can't wait to see him play in this defense. I think his expectations are already pretty high for this team, but I think he's going to even exceed those high expectations, and he's going to be unbelievable this year. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for daily Commanders content here on YouTube. It's 100% free. We have weekly live shows every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, plus a watch party every time the Commanders play a football game, and every time they make a big move, we have breaking news coverage for you guys. So make sure you click that subscribe button and get the best content on YouTube. Then we got Nick Allegretti here, the left guard. And, this is somebody that's never been a established starter in the league until this year, all right? He did come in for the Kansas City Chiefs, won a Super Bowl with them last year as their starting left guard once they had some injuries, which is why the Commanders believe in him to assume that role now. But I think that people expect him to be a pretty decent starter at this level at left guard. And you know what? I'm going to say he meets those expectations. I don't think he's going to be anything special, All right, but I think he showed last year that he's extremely tough. He is dependable, and he's not going to be a turnstile. All right, he's not going to be terrible, in my opinion. He's not going to be, moving people in the run game like crazy. He's not going to dominate like some of the best guards in football like Sam Cosmi can, but he's going to hold his own, and he won't be a liability on the interior this year. Or at least I'm hoping not, because if he is, that's going to spell a lot of trouble on the left side of the Commanders' O-line. So wrap it up here. You guys started today's show by telling me somebody that was going to exceed expectations on the Commanders roster. Now tell me a player that you think will not meet expectations this year. Let me know down there in the comments section, what's a player on this team that's going to fall short of his high expectations? So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. That's going to be the end of today's show. Appreciate all the real ones that made it to the end of today's program. Until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders. One more segment to go here, Mr. Joey, and it is a mailbag. I don't know how we're doing on questions.
I think we need a lot more. Let me get checked. We've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, nope. We've only got 2.
We got 2 questions.
We got 2 questions.
So here's what I'm going to do. Let's put a 5-minute timer on, and let's get those questions in, all right? We got 67 people watching. If you guys have a question, if you guys want to get a comment on the show, this is your opportunity to do so. Use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get on the show right now. So, for example, you put down there in the live chat, hashtag Commanders. Will Jaden Daniels win Offensive Rookie of the Year? If you put that in the live chat, we're going to get your question on the mailbag today. So we got Joshua in there. We got Gerald. We got Todd. We got Eugene. We got JG. Got Jasmine. Got Kenneth. Got King Hypno. We got Fran. Got Cassie. We got Logan. We got It's Torched. Got a good crew here, man. So let's get some questions in there. 5 minutes until we get this mailbag going. So, Joey, talking about my list there of 10 players, what was one that you agree with and maybe one that you disagree with on that list?
I agree with your take on...
Or do you just agree with all of them because I know ball?
Yeah, no, I disagree with all of them because you don't know
Yeah,
ball.
yeah. Okay.
No, I agree with your Emmanuel Forbes. I think he's shown what he is. I think especially in that Jets game, and I don't want to put too much on it, but man, he got scored on by a guy who's looking for a job right now. And he was a first-round pick just the year before that. And so I don't know if expectations are super high for him this season, but they were, and I think he's just going to keep proving who he is.
Well, I mean, obviously the expectations in the building are high for him because he's their number one corner.
That's fair.
They could have gotten out and got Xavier Howard. They could have went out and got Stephon Gilmore. They could have went out and drafted an outside corner again this year. They could have gone out and gotten somebody in free agency, but instead they bring in Michael Davis, who's not even listed as a starter to start this year in free agency, and they pretty much did nothing else besides get a slot corner in Mikey Samerstill. So they clearly expect Emmanuel Forbes to be that guy. I hope I'm wrong. If he is a legit number one corner, the way that Christian Gonzalez is a number one corner in this league right now, that's a complete game changer for this defense. If he ends up being that type of player, we're looking at a bona fide top 10 defense in football, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, you're going to have that when you bring in Dan Quinn, but he does need corners. You saw how good DeRon Bland and how good Trayvon Diggs have been for Dan Quinn, especially in the turnover department. But the thing is you could still get Xavier Howard, right?
Yeah.
You could still go get him, and I don't see why they don't just take that shot. Do you think it's because...
It's probably because of cap.
Okay, do you think it also has to do a little bit with he's like a question mark
and by
in
the way,
character department?
I wouldn't. Maybe that potentially. I can't speculate on that because I don't know him. But potentially, what I'll say here though, if you're looking for a reason to be hopeful about Emmanuel Forbes, and like I want a reason to be hopeful, is that this team did not replace him this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
This team is saying we are putting our chips on you. Now, here is another reason to hope for Emmanuel Forbes this year, Joey. Deron Bland looked really good in this defense.
He did.
All right. I think Trayvon Diggs, if he's not in this defense, I actually think Trayvon Diggs is going to take a big step backwards in that Mike Zimmer defense this year in Dallas. I think this defense specifically, it generates a lot of pressure. It generates a lot of poor decisions from opposing quarterbacks. And I think that Washington is kind of banking on their pass rush being so good this year that it's going to give their corners opportunities to make plays. And they feel like Benjamin St-Juste and Emmanuel Forbes are capable of doing that. Now, is that the way it's going to work? I don't know. Is the pass rush really going to be as good as it was in Dallas when they had Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and like some of the best pass rushers in the game? Who knows? All right. I do think this pass rush will be effective, but in order to get guys like Deron Bland to play at almost an all-pro level last year, you need to have like top 5 pass rush in the league. And, in order to elevate this cornerback room that much, I think that maybe you're a couple pieces away from really becoming that kind of special level of edge rush.
And that is a good point of like, if you need any reason to believe in Emmanuel Forbes, it's obvious this coaching staff believes in Emmanuel Forbes.
Or at least they're saying.
At least they're saying they do.
At least they're saying, hey, we're putting our belief in you. You better play good this year.
Maybe it's a little bit of wish casting, right?
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why they got Michael Davis is that if Emmanuel Forbes is unplayable, like he was at times last year, you just put Michael Davis in there. And like you just say, okay, our corners stink, but like we're going to bank on our edge rush group and our pass rush to get to the quarterback. So, definitely corner is a big weakness on this team. I would still argue offensive line, particularly offensive tackle, is a hole on this team. I think that this team, I put it in my record prediction video. I think they either go 8-9, 9-8, 7-10, somewhere in that middle range. I don't think they'll be terrible this year, but I do think there are certain limitations to this roster that exist.
Screw the Houston Texans for putting unrealistic expectations on every team with a new coach and a new quarterback.
And took that quarter. I mean, I will say the comparisons are uncanny to the Texans last year and the Commanders this year. New head coach, defensive-minded head coach too. New quarterback drafted number 2 overall. Okay. Then we got, going into the season, people think there's roster holes. Last year was the offensive line for Houston. They overcame that. They had certain issues on the defense as well, overcame that, beat the Cleveland Browns at home in the playoffs. They won their division. I understand why people want to compare this Commanders team to them. But like we've said on previous shows, I think it's going to be more like a Dan Campbell Lions type situation.
A little slower build.
I think it's going to be a 1-year build. And, this year, I don't think they'll be bad. They won't be like Dan Campbell in his first year. I think he won 3 games in his first year, Dan Campbell did in Detroit.
He did.
I think this year, the Washington Commanders win 7, 8, or 9 games. That's not bad. But, if the expectation is this team's going to win a playoff game 1 year removed from being the second worst team in the league, I mean, if it happens, great. We'll be covering every single second of it here on the show, and we'll eat that shit up. But, I think the expectations and the manageable expectations is this team is competitive. This team is in close games against good football teams consistently. Jaden Daniels looks good. And, my hope and my prayer for this team is that you go into next season, 2025, feeling extremely optimistic about this culture and Jaden Daniels as a quarterback.
Well, yeah, and it helps that the Texans played in the worst division in football. Or one of the worst divisions.
It was pretty bad last year.
It was pretty awful. The both Souths are god-awful. But next year, who knows what the Cowboys are going to look like, right? They don't know if Mike McCarthy's going to be back. They don't know if they don't have a quarterback under contract for 2025. And so, really, there's a chance. I don't believe in the Giants. There's a chance next year, if things go really well this year and you keep building on, you're just kind of competing with the Eagles for that NFC East division.
I kind of feel like this is the Eagles' year again because we know how the NFC East is, guys. Nobody repeats as a champion in this division. So that means probably this year is the Eagles' year, and then I think next year will be the Commanders' year because I think the Cowboys are going to fall. I think that obviously the Eagles can't repeat next year. So I think next year you're going to have a lot of cap space. You're going to have some really nice draft capital. Jaden Daniels is going to be going into a really pivotal second year of his career. and I think he's going to be a superstar in that second year. You got Dan Quinn, who's going to have that established culture at that point. I think heading into that year 2, you can really look at this Commanders team as a team that can not only win the division, but compete for the NFC Championship that year. So I think this is a 1-year rebuild. I think that one more offseason, this team's going to be ready to rock. This is going to be a fun season. Jaden Daniels, rookie season. He's going to be running around. There's going to be a lot of fun things to kind of digest from this season. But be patient here, folks. I think we're going to get there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we got enough questions here for the mailbag. Let's get into it right now and finish up today's live show. Welcome into the Commanders Report Mailbag. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I love doing these types of mailbag type segments, guys, because you guys get to ask your questions, and I get to answer them right here on the channel. So before we get into the questions today, if you want to get a question on a future edition of the Commanders Report Mailbag, all you got to do is click that subscribe button right now, and then join us every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Where we have our weekly live shows. And on that live show, we film these mailbags. You guys get your opportunity, get your questions on the show. So if you want your voice on this platform here, you guys have an opportunity to do so. All you got to do is click that subscribe button. Okay, now let's get to the first question of the day from my man, JG. It says, will Cliff Kingsbury be able to keep his offensive schemes fresh for the entire season? Probably not. Okay, so if you guys have watched my stuff on Cliff Kingsbury, you guys know my concerns with him. If you look at his teams that he has been the offensive play caller for, his records for those teams in the second half versus the first half of the season, completely different. In fact, he barely wins at all in the second half of seasons. Okay, and the reason for that is he comes into the year with a plan that he likes to implement, and then he doesn't make adjustments, either mid-game or even mid-season. So if somebody figures out his offense, he's toast. He's not adjusting. He's not changing it. He's not switching things up. He's not counter adjusting or anything like that. Kingsbury runs his stuff, and if a defense figures him out, the rest of the schedule pretty much copies and pastes that, and Kingsbury's toast. All right. So I'm really hoping that Kingsbury, after having a year hiatus from the NFL, has kind of learned from his mistakes. Hopefully, now that he's an offensive coordinator instead of a head coach, he's going to be able to really focus in on making those adjustments because he's not worried about the entire team anymore. He's just focused on the offense. So I'm hopeful for Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's a really good fit for Jaden Daniels' skill set. I will say that. So I guess we'll see how things go in this first year. Got one from Billy Everett Jr. says, do you think the defense could be in the top 10 this season? I'll tell you this. If Emmanuel Forbes or Benjamin St-Juste or somebody establishes themselves as a legit number 1 lockdown corner this year on the outside, I think this is a top 10 defense. All right. I think this pass rush is going to be ferocious. I like the linebacker group they have here. I like the safety group they have here. The one aspect of the defense I don't like is that I don't think you have enough, you don't have quite enough edge rusher prowess to really threaten the offensive tackles when rushing 4, and then you don't have much talent in terms of high-end talent at the cornerback position. So those are kind of the 2 holes on this Commanders defense. However, if you add a number 1 corner, like hopefully Emmanuel Forbes can become this year, absolutely, this can be a top 10 unit. Then we got one from Justin Ballou. Says, how would you feel if the Commanders drafted Travis Hunter to play both ways next year? It'd be interesting. Travis Hunter is a very talented player, arguably the most talented individual in college football right now, being able to be like the best corner in college football, arguably right now, besides Will Johnson. And then you also have just incredible catches as a receiver. I mean, I think he can play both ways in the NFL, but here's the thing about Travis Hunter, man. I don't think NFL teams are going to want to draft him in the first round to be a two-way player. And the reason for that is playing two ways in college football, let alone NFL football, takes a huge toll on your body. All right, so I think he's going to have to choose either wide receiver or cornerback. I think the team that drafts him might like specialize him on the other side of the ball. Like maybe he's a full-time receiver, but then on like third and long situations, 2-minute drill stuff, he goes out there as a corner, as like a dime backer. Like that could be a possibility. But honestly, I don't see Travis Hunter playing both ways. And I do think he's going to be a receiver when he comes into the league because he can make more money. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Where's Travis Hunter going to play in the NFL? Type WR for wide receiver, type CB for corner, or type B for both if you think he's going to play both ways. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Then we got one from my man Eugene, watching every single show. Appreciate you, Eugene. Says thoughts on the Commanders' VP selection. Honestly, man, I don't really care about the ownership group, the vice presidents, the presidents. I haven't really done much research on that, Eugene. So honestly, I don't really have an opinion on the new Commanders VP. If I'm being completely honest with you, maybe I'll do some research for you and get back to you on that. Then we got Joshua Wingo says, my question is Noah Brown going to be that guy? So Joshua, we'll see. He is currently listed as like the number 4 receiver on the team. Okay, so he's behind Olamide Zaccheaus and he is behind Luke McCaffrey on the depth chart, but he is ahead of De'Ami Brown as we stand here today. So that is definitely interesting to me. It's going to be interesting to see what Noah Brown's capable of doing because he brings something that we don't have a whole lot of in this wide receiver room right now, and that's size. He is a big boy. He's a really good run blocker. He can contribute on special teams as well. So if you're talking about, quote-unquote, that guy being like an awesome receiver, no, he's not that guy. But if he's the guy that can come in here and be a legitimate receiving option that can also help on special teams, 100% he can still do that. Hopefully his shoulder is all right. Missed the entire preseason with a shoulder injury. Now, before we get into the rest of this week's questions on the mailbag, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game live, whether it be college or professional, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. And our friends at Game Time have a brand new feature on their app called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. And guys, the way it works is you find a game that you want to go see, whether that's the home opener for the Washington Commanders against the New York Giants in week 2 or any other game. It could be also any other event. It's not just sports, guys. It's music, it's comedy, it's theater, it's music festivals. Find an event you want to go to, select the Game Time Picks a tab on there, and it filters out automatically using their special algorithm to find you the best possible seats at the best possible prices so you don't have to go searching around other ticketing apps and you don't have to go searching around on the Game Time app. Game Time already finds the best tickets for you every single time with Game Time Picks. And some other great features that Game Time features on their app is that they have the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. All-in pricing so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout, and then flash deals. So if you wait to the last minute to get your tickets, Game Time actually rewards you for that by driving their prices even lower the closer you get to the start of the event. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Got one from Crocker Betty. Says, who's going to be the Commanders team MVP this season? It's a good question, Crocker Betty. In terms of MVP, meaning best player on the team, call me crazy. I'm going to say Jaden Daniels. I think that Jaden's going to be really, really fun to watch this year, okay? And obviously the quarterback holds the most weight out of any player on a given roster. And I think that he's going to really do a good job this year. Now, will it be Offensive Rookie of the Year good? I guess we'll see how good Caleb Williams plays. I guess we'll see how good the receivers play this year. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors and Roma Dunze, for that matter, all three of those guys are special players as well. So we'll see how everything shakes out. But I do think Jaden Daniels, by the end of this season, is going to give Commanders fans a lot of reason to believe that he is the superstar quarterback that this franchise has been waiting for a long time. And I think that he is going to be the guy that wins that team MVP this year. So let me know down there in the comments section who's going to be this year's Commanders team MVP. Let me know down there in the comments section what you guys have to say. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. All right, now let's get to Chris Penner. Says, will we be okay in the kicking game? I hope so. Cade York did a good enough job in the final preseason game. There's obviously a reason why the Browns replaced him with Dustin Hopkins. So that's, I really think that Brandon McManus screwed this team with the allegations he faced this offseason. So it's going to be an interesting situation, Chris. I think we're going to be fine. I don't think they're going to be elite in the kicking game by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm hoping Tressway has a bounce-back season. Didn't have a great year last year, if I'm being honest, as a punter. But then I'm also hoping that Cade York is going to be better than what Joey Sly was last year. In fact, I think that the kicking game this year is going to be even better than what it was last year. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you can't wait to kick off week 1, of course, it's going to be at Raymond James Stadium there in Tampa Bay. First game for Jaden Daniels as an NFL professional. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a watch party here on the show, so make sure you click that subscribe button. And then to help today's video, make sure you click that thumbs up icon. So we got anyone but Snyder says, if you had to guess who's going to be the second most productive wide receiver on the team this year behind Terry. If I'm giving my best guess right now, I'm going to say Noah Brown. All right, I think it might take a little bit for him to get in the lineup just because he's so new and he's dealing with a shoulder injury. But I do think that Noah Brown is probably the second best overall receiver on the team. It seems like the Commanders believe in Luke McCaffrey, so we'll see if anything surfaces up with that as a rookie receiver. Also, Olamide Zaccheaus and De'Ami Brown had good camps in preseason. So it's anyone's race between those kind of 5 receivers at this point. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see who that number 2 target ends up being. I will say De'Ami Brown and Jaden Daniels had a really nice connection in camp and in the preseason this year. But I do think Noah Brown, with his size, with his ability to make big plays that he did last year, over 17 yards of reception last year for him, I just think that he's probably the best and most talented player out of that group of players, so I'll go Noah Brown. So let me know down there in the comments section who's going to be number 2 in terms of receiving for the Washington Commanders this year. Could it be Zach Ertz? Could it be Ben Sinnott? Could it be Luke McCaffrey? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Who's going to be number 2 behind Terry McLaurin this year? Going from King Hypno, says, as the roster sits now, what will the Commanders' first pick be this year? Next year. So I don't know, King Hypno, because we don't know where they're drafting. Obviously, we haven't had a full college football season, and I've all the tape that I've watched on all the college players was from last year and not this year, right? So it's a long ways away from who they could draft next year. I can tell you this. It's probably not going to be a quarterback, all right? So unless Jaden Daniels is just absolutely terrible and you're drafting first and there's like an undeniable quarterback that you absolutely have to take, which I find extremely unlikely in this quarterback class, it's not going to be a quarterback. I would say probably a trench player, either an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. Then we got JG says, are we setting expectations too high for Sainristil? It depends on what your expectation is. For me personally, I think he's going to be anywhere between a top 5 and top 10 slot corner in football. And I think he's more than capable of hitting that expectation based on his film at Michigan, based on everything that we've seen from him in training camp and preseason. He looks like a really special player. I'd be pretty disappointed if he stinks this year. I won't lie to you. I've put a lot of takes out there here on this channel, staking my claim that Mike Sainristil is going to be a really good player from the word go. But no, I don't think the expectations are too high. I think he's the real deal. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now. Appreciate everybody that put in questions on this week's mailbag. We got another mailbag next week, so make sure you click that subscribe button and join us at 5 p.m. Eastern time for every single Commanders Report live show to get your questions right here on the show. All right, man. We're going to say goodbye for the day here, folks. We got 46 people watching. You know what? I'll say this, though. I'll take a shot to finish out today's show if we can get to 50 likes.
Oh, that's easy.
We're 2 likes away. Okay, if we can get to 50 likes here, I'm gonna pour my shot. I'm gonna pour my shot right now. All right. Got my shot.
1 like away.
All right, 1 like away now. We got 44 people watching. Joey and I will take a shot to finish today's show.
Bang!
There we go. We got there.
Let me get mine poured.
All right.
Bottoms up.
Joey filled that bitch, man. Joey filled that thing.
Happy Wednesday.
How's that espresso martini, pal?
Juice me up.
That juiced you up? Okay. All right, that'll be it for today's show, guys. I appreciate everybody stopping by today. We'll see you guys, or Joey will see you guys Sunday for the live watch party. I'll see you guys next week for the live show on Wednesday. Appreciate your guys' support. I'll see you guys next time. And until next time, hail to the Commanders.